There was no way around it. Multiple artists had seen it, and it was something that needed to be addressed because
as I'm defending Dante,
we came out with a statement.
A statement comes out.
You got the Lil Nas X thing, you got the singing on the tour bus, now this. So we're seeing a continued gray area of things happen. The progress photo from him, like he was working out. He was getting more fit.
Are we talking, was it full frontal or was it just like Carl Lentz D-Root on the beach with Justin Bieber? I sat down with the leaders of Maverick City Music for a 2.5-hour interview and pressed them about every single controversy they've ever been a part of.
Is Lil Nas X performing tonight? I'm looking forward to seeing that. That's gonna be cool, probably. Yeah.
But there's one that stands out far above the rest. One that's left many fans confused and curious. What really happened with Maverick City and Dante Bowe? And their explanation of what really happened will shock you, as it left me speechless. But before we get into that, guys, my name is Ruslan. This channel exists to encourage, empower, and inspire you to live a life that blesses God. Sometimes that means having tough conversations about tough topics. So if you're new here, if you're not new here, please do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. There's a huge percentage of the people that watch this channel, unfortunately, are not subscribed. All right, let's jump into this conversation with Maverick City Music.
Ruslan.
And what I'm not going to do is talk about rumors. The thing that I remember hearing murmurings about is like Dante Bowe said that he likes Lil Nas X and he wants to see Lil Nas X perform. And then Maverick City catches all the backlash for it. And so what were you guys thinking throughout that entire ordeal? Was he trolling? Was he intentionally trying to poke?
What were we thinking?
Yeah. And what were y'all thinking about that?
But can I say this before you answer?
Sure.
Two things that are important to identify. One, we love Dante. He's our brother. And I want to make that clear, like not previously, today. Like right now, we are in a relationship with him. We love him. But two, and this goes to what Norman was saying earlier, if one person within Mav City did it, all of Mav did it, Norman did it, JJ did it, all the executives did it. And I used to say, the outside sees everybody as one unit. They don't distinguish between tribal, Mav City, the executives, and the individual singers.
Well, I remember the headline from that was Maverick City artist says, or I think it was even Maverick City says they're excited to see Lil Nas X, right? I mean, that's what came out of.
And Mav City can't speak. It's not
The interesting part of that is Dante was signed to a completely different label at the time. He was nominated on his own for 3 Grammys. That's why he was there.
So he wasn't there representing Maverick City.
He wasn't even, I mean, transparently, he wasn't even there with us. He was there as Dante Bowe, nominated for, he had just released his own solo album, Joyful. He was there as Dante Bowe. He was walking the red carpet as Dante Bowe. Maverick walked the carpet. He didn't walk with us. Not saying he was at that time apart from us, but again, Dante has never to this day had a deal with Maverick City aside from a publishing deal. I've known Dante well before he was in Maverick City. And so I think when you ask us what did we think about Dante saying, he was excited to see Lil Nas X, Dante's excited to see Lil Nas X. I mean, that's what we thought about. Now, transparently, if you go through things and you look at our catalog since then, he hadn't featured on anything, right? The last thing he featured on was Kingdom. And so at this point in time, Dante is preparing to go off and do his solo career, which we supported. And so we internally know this. So to us, it's nothing to talk about. How the public then internalizes and takes it is, we had no grounds to do anything to him. He ain't signed to us. We don't have any, at that point, we didn't have any deal with him, I don't believe. And so there was no, we issue a statement saying we're not excited to see Lil Nas X. I'm not trying to be tongue in cheek. It's just that it's like, one, that's our friend. That's our brother. He said something that we probably wouldn't have said. I probably would have, maybe somebody else in Maverick was also excited to see Lil Nas X because, as I mentioned, everyone is different in the group. There's not this unifying factor to us besides for our faith and our belief in God. That was the unifying factor and the willingness to write and get in the writing room and write together. Outside of that, he's a supremely artistic dude. He's really hard work. He's a studio rat, loves the art and Norman probably wouldn't have said I was excited to see Lil Nas X.
But I do think that there's a piece of this, like if you're an employee of a corporation, a lot of times on social media, you'll see in their bio, the last sentence always says, views are my own. Views are my own. And I do think that within Christendom, and especially within the worship community, there is not grace for views of my own. And I think, you kind of hit on that before. It's like, well, people think that if he said it and he's a worship leader and he's leading the church, then he shouldn't be saying things like that. People can disagree as to whether they want to see Lil Nas X. People, they want to see the song, they want to see the creativity, they want to see the whatever, or do they want to see the horrible debauchery of it? I think whatever he said, views are his own, not Mav City, not JJ, not Norman. And I think there probably wasn't enough grace for that to be the case.
Towards Maverick City.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, oh no, you go.
I think the concern goes back to a worldview issue, right? That I think a lot of what we're dealing with and have been dealing with is within certain Christian circles is syncretism, where you're trying to take incompatible worldviews and squish them together. If he had said, hey, I'm excited to see Marilyn Manson. Like Kanye, rightfully so, got backlash for bringing out Marilyn Manson, And so I think there's a concern there of when we're looking at it, and then some people do have this, again, the hyper grace, do what you want, your life doesn't matter, just sprinkle a little Jesus on it. Now we're talking about Lil Nas X and bigging up Lil Nas X. There is a room for people to be like, wait a minute, like,
I'll say this. Because I think because we all know Dante, we kind of know the angle from which that comment came from. Yeah. But I'll say it this way. Dante is about as big of a music student as there is. I mean, from Lauryn Hill to Kirk Franklin to, you name it. He just studies music. And I think that comment probably came from the creativity, the sound, the music. I'm intrigued, and it probably wasn't thought through to the level of, wow, now is this guy antithetical to everything that I've spent the last 3 years getting on stages singing about? I don't think that was the intention, and that's sort of why when you said, what was I thinking? I was thinking, why did you say that? Just being honest, I was like, why did you say that? But I do know his heart. I can confidently tell you, like, just knowing him, knowing the type of artist that he is, like, I think it was more from the music's cool, the performance is set to be cool. I'm intrigued, but I don't know that he's like linearly thought out through every decision that Lil Nas X had made the past year and gone, wow, now I'm really intrigued because I want to see how he does this thing that's going to offend the Christian. I don't think it was that.
I wouldn't even say I don't think. We know he does.
Yeah. And so I think that's to where that's a little bit of like, I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's like, probably shouldn't have said it. Probably should have been more careful about what he said. But also there's a little bit of like, I wish that when people saw that, they maybe had a little bit more grace for, hey man, he's just a kid who loves music, who's excited to be at the Grammys. He just got nominated. He's caught up in the moment. Lil Nas X had actually just walked by and waved at us. That was probably even some of the reasoning there. So it's just like you gotta, and again, people aren't always gracious in the way that they retell things or even see things. So I understand that, but yeah, that would be the context that I would probably start with.
That makes sense. And again, I'm just pointing back to like people still are looking at him as their worship.
Yeah,
which may or may not be fair to him. That may not be what he signed up for.
But it was what it was.
Yeah,
I think that's the reality is that, for all of the, wow, we just kind of stumbled into this historic worldwide, success. There does come, to whom much is given, much is required. There is a responsibility.
Absolutely.
And even if you didn't know that you were responsible, let this be noticed that you are responsible. Yeah, sometimes people will say things on Instagram or social media and you realize how far it spreads. And maybe you didn't know, but now you do know. And so, I think even the code of conduct is a response that says, okay, we've been running. We've been building this in midair. We have been just saying yes to this, showing up to this, just making sure that the music was doing what it does. Now we realize we need this. And I think, and this is someone from the outside who's coming more recently into the organization, the things that I used to think were malicious or negligent or irresponsible were not that in every instance. Sure. Often it was, oh man, I'm sorry, I didn't realize. There are more of those than I could actually list. There's more like, oh, okay, well, what should we do? and in a very innocent, like, I'm sorry, I didn't know that. It's almost like in the New Testament when they say, did you guys get baptized? We didn't even know we were supposed to be baptized. It wasn't like they're bucking against baptism. It wasn't that. They just didn't know.
Yeah.
You know, as innocently as the writing camps were, he wasn't a business guy. He wasn't a Titan publishing, giant. He was just a guy who really wanted some songs that sounded like a blend between his 0 to 12 and his 12 to 18, and he couldn't find any within the body of Christendom.
That's good.
So he made it. And sorry, he didn't know how to do that perfectly.
Sure.
Sorry, it wasn't buttoned up.
I think that's one thing that this is going to help do and help people to see is that we don't think we got everything right. You know what I mean? We're very open and honest about the fact. If you know us intimately, like we're very open-handed about the fact that we did stuff wrong. We didn't handle every situation right. We didn't handle. Maybe we should have made a statement then. It's like we don't think we got it. We're definitely not here to say we did everything right and you guys should stop picking on us. Not at all. We believe we did some things wrong. We were definitely a 7'5", 2-year-old, right? Where we're still doing like this and but the reality is we saw the fruit of what we were doing. We saw, and you come against when you're putting tens of thousands of people in different locales, in arenas, and lifting up the name of Jesus day in and day out, you're gonna run into some opposition, and that opposition isn't gonna be light. Yeah. And so I don't think, and this may be something that I don't think we were prepared for that, because at no point at the beginning of this, no one in the room said, "Oh, I'm a pastor. We're starting a church." But to a generation of people, we were pastoring a generation of people into faith. And I think those are the things if we could go back and we could get more prepared, we would be more prepared for the fact that, hey man, like people look at us like a church. They look at you. They're looking at these songs as their scripture for the day. They're looking at the people singing these songs and their lives as, oh, that's how I need to live my life. And just as ignorant as it can sound, and to anybody sitting, it's like, how could y'all not know that? We didn't know.
Yeah, well, I think to be fair to you guys, like I always say that Christian music, Christian media, Christian YouTube, Christian podcasting, I've always seen it as a supplement and not the sustenance. So if you're strength training, we're working out, you got protein shakes, and then you got steak and eggs and potatoes. Yeah. And steak and eggs and potato is you getting in that word for yourself, you going to church, you being in community. Absolutely. And what I do with YouTube, with music, all that, Mav worship, those are supplements, and I've had friends who, I had one buddy who unfortunately was working at a supplement shop, and there was a window where he didn't have any food. He couldn't afford food, but he was working at it. So he drank protein shakes for a week straight, and he had to go to the hospital and get his stomach pumped. You can't survive off of supplements. That's not what those are designed for. It's just to get you over your macro goals. And I think people approach all of this as their baseline. This is not your meat and potatoes. So I think that's fair for you to say of like, you guys are seeing us as that, but we got to keep honing in the fact that you guys are not a church.
In the colloquial sense, we're not a church.
Sure. Right.
In the colloquial sense, like in the common understanding, brick and mortar with
a
the
local
pastor.
Church.
But we are definitely a group of believers that come together.
A part of the capital C
church. Absolutely.
Yes,
and it's a lesson well learned. I think we went through that experience knowing that, man, there is gravity behind what we say, and it's important.
I want to close out this Dante section, because at one point a statement was put out.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if you guys probably weren't keeping up with what was going on my end, but I came out in defense of Dante initially because the video that went viral was him on a party bus listening to Bad Bunny. Then it turned into you gonna get a demon for listening to Bad Bunny. And I was like, you guys are crazy. Like, and it was like a TikTok collage of a bunch of Christian influencers saying like, you opening yourself up to demons. And I'm like, I don't think that's what's happening. You're not gonna get a demon listening to Bad Bunny. Now, I don't listen to Bad Bunny. I can't tell you one Bad Bunny song. I can't hum you one Bad Bunny melody. I have no idea what his music sounds like, but like, y'all gotta chill. And then I got into it with another Christian YouTuber. It was a big blow up, it was a big mess.
Remember?
Yeah. And long story short, as I'm defending Dante,
We came out with a statement.
a statement comes out. Now,
You know why now?
I know I do not think it was because of the party bus situation.
No,
From my understanding, there was something inappropriate posted to his Instagram story that I did not see with my own eyes, nor did I want to. But there was something posted, and I don't know if he was high. I don't know what was going on, but there was something inappropriate and explicit posted. And then the next day,
Yeah.
Maverick City does put out a statement and distances themselves. Okay. So walk me through that situation, because people still think it was the Bad Bunny thing. And I'm like, I'm 99% sure that it's not the Bad Bunny thing. Yeah, tell me a little bit about that and what happened and why, even though he wasn't signed at the time, why the need to put out something.
So, and I'm gonna let JJ take it at a point right after me. But so Dante has addressed this himself. So there is no conjecture here. He's admitted to the inappropriate photo on multiple platforms. So we didn't want to be the people to put that out because, as we've stated over and over, we saw him as family, right? And this wasn't an attempt by us to throw him under the bus. It wasn't an attempt by us to even really distance ourselves from him. I think some background that will help a lot of people is that we wrote the statement in conjunction with Dante. He was fully aware. We did meeting after meeting with his team all day, all night. And that's why the statement came out so late in the day. Like, it came out nearly at midnight, is because we alerted every member of our organization prior to it coming out, because this was a huge moment for us. This is the first time Maverick City would ever have made a statement about conduct, ever, in our existence. And this wasn't the first thing that happened that people had made noise about, but it was the first thing that happened that we had visible proof of that took place, to the point that admittedly I was sent what happened, right? And so there was no way around it. Multiple artists had seen it, and it was something that needed to be addressed, because whether or not we are worship pastors or whether we do pastor people, we are still Christians, and we have a platform, and we have to steward those platforms with respect, dignity, and in accordance to our beliefs. And so I wasn't there. Whether it was intentional or unintentional, it was irrelevant to us. But the thing that was important was, when I'm receiving DMs from a mother that says my 8-year-old daughter XYZ, when I'm receiving, you know what I'm saying? When we're getting DMs from women, it becomes a point that we have a responsibility to say, hey, now we don't have anything to do with this. We don't control his Instagram. We don't. And if you got the Lil Nas X thing, you got the singing on the tour bus. Now this, as I mentioned earlier, we're not living with them, but we're seeing a continued gray area of things happen. Bro, let's have a conversation. Let's sit down. Let's agree for you to take a step back. Let's see what's really going on. We made these agreements together. Now, how it ended up coming out and how it ended up transpiring isn't what we intended. We wanted this to be a walk together. We wanted this to be something we did together. We wanted to come back, coalesce, give it 6 months. Let's see what happens. Let's walk through this. Let's get some accountability together, because, hey, clearly we need to pull you closer. We love you, right? And so that was our intent. And so this was in result to the inappropriate photo. That was for us proof that even if it wasn't intended, whatever the intent was, it could have caused someone to stumble. It could have it was saw by people completely inappropriately, and there's consequences for even unintentional things. And that's what this was for us. It wasn't oh man, we kicking Dante out for listening to Bad Bunny. Brother, I would imagine everybody in Maverick City at some point has listened to secular music, as has most people across the landscape of the United. That's not enough. You know what I mean? But this, I can say forthrightly, no other member has posted an inappropriate photo like this to our knowledge. And if they have, we don't know about it. And so this was solely in result to the inappropriate photo. And when he says that he was still in communication with us, he was. Because we never intended to outcast him, push him away. That's not relationship. That's not what the church does. That's not what a community does. If someone is in a bit of, you pull them closer, you protect, and the silence that you have had from us is that protection, is that relationship. That's what you do to a brother. That's what you do to a friend. You don't take them at their worst at a moment of strife and pile on and say, oh no, that's not what you do. And people that do that, communities that do that, I don't agree with that. You pull them closer, you walk alongside with them if they're willing. If they're not willing, you have to let them go and be and do what they want to do.
I mean, one of the first things I know that we did was to reach out and just say, hey man, like, we can do this together. We can help you through this process. We can put a statement together. It was a long list of things that we wanted to do together. We didn't want to throw him under the bus. We didn't want to throw him by the wayside. We wanted Dante to feel like, hey man, yeah, there was a mistake that was made, but we're here for you. We're here to support you through that. We think that there needs to be a process of reconciliation, of healing, or whatever. Take some time away. We even offered to pay for, his staff as he took some time away, didn't do some dates with us, didn't do some other dates. Take that time away. Let's do this together and let's work on that. So I think it's important for people to know that our response wasn't, hey man, like, why did you do that? Here's an arm. But no, hey, like, we see this picture that's clearly alarming. Like, let's figure out how to walk this together with you, because we've been releasing music together. We're family, but we want to do this the right way.
What was the explanation? Like, because I've never heard him address it.
It was a progress photo. It was a progress photo from him. Like, he was working out. He was getting more fit. And it was a progress photo.
And he accidentally posted it?
Yeah, it says he accident. I mean, as he was taking, I guess he was taking it via the gram. I guess as he took it, he says he accidentally posted. And the veracity of that I want to be clear, the veracity or non-veracity of that statement would be irrelevant to our response.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So okay, I thought he was high or something like that. So and are we talking, was it full frontal or was it just like Carl Lentz D-Root on the beach with Justin Bieber?
That's full frontal, man.
Yeah.
That's full frontal.
Okay, that's one hell of a progress photo.
Yeah.
Whew, that was a doozy. All right, let me know what you think about that explanation. Drop your comment. And if you want to see the full conversation with Maverick City Music on their YouTube channel, we'll have that linked up over here. Viewer discretion is advised. All right, I'll see you guys over there. Peace.